our viewers, wherever you're watching us from, and a happy new year 2022 to you. This is CPK TV, the voice of the people. I'm your host, Sefusani, coming to you live from Gem constituency in Siaya County, Mos Marihiga Manyen, which is the Luo for Happy New Year. And the Gem constituency is made up of a population of about 200,000 people with about 90,000 registered voters. And today we speak to a member of County Assembly from East Gem, which has 27,000 in population and 14,000 registered voters. Karibu sana, Jeff Wambo, who is also a journalist in this area.
Thank you, Sefu. And I'm very grateful for this opportunity.
Yes, and just maybe we can start with an introduction. I've said you're a Jafwambo, which is something I have learned while I've been in this area. Maybe you can tell our people what that means and just introduce yourself.
Thank you,
for a period of time.
My name is Vitalis Otunga. Just the way you are saying, I'm a journalist by profession. Jafwambo is journalist. Yeah, so I've worked, this is my 9th year in the field. I've worked in different radio stations. First one was based in Oma Bay County, that's Gulf Radio. I've also worked for Sky FM, and I've worked also for Royal Media Services Radio Ramogi. And currently I was working for Ratego Radio, of which I'm now leaving that field, coming to the politics. The
political field.
Yes.
And, you know, I mean, it's a big challenge. And, you know, just to start us off, what made you want to switch your profession, you know, from journalism, such that you have such a passion and you're willing to give up your profession to take up the political field?
Thank you. Being in the field of journalism, got some exposure.
Yes.
We've been covering different events,
yes,
development projects from different areas. And now, if also being in that field, I've traveled a lot and I've seen different developments in different wards. When I pictured back at home or in my ward, I've seen that there's some gap. There's something we are lacking. And that's now I'm saying, instead of highlighting the project from different areas,
yes,
I want to take this opportunity to come and do them for our people, so that they also, our wards also be at the same level of others.
And that is such self-sacrifice. And how was your journey, you know, coming into the Communist Party of Kenya, and what you've gotten into so far, how far you've gotten with the Communist Party of Kenya, to even the level of, you know, vying for member of County Assembly for East Gem?
Thank you. In Kenya, there's that democracy.
Yes.
And we have as many political parties as possible. So I was listening to different parties, ideologies.
Yes.
And even some of their manifestos. So after listening to these different parties, I concurred with those ideologies of CPK. And I said that now this is the party that will help me also to drive the people's agenda. Yeah.
And of course, the Communist Party of Kenya, when you look at our manifesto and our ideology, we always work with the working class and the farmers, which I've learned in this area, we say Jopur for the farmers and Jotich for the workers. And of course, to eliminate the class struggle that is in our society. What are the challenges that you have found in this area with the Jotich and the Jopur, and also in eliminating the class struggle that is in this ward of East Gem?
Okay, thank you for that. East Gem ward, we have about 27,000 population.
Yes.
And about 13,000 plus voters.
Yeah.
And these people, about 80% of East Gem residents are farmers. They are local farmers. And what I realized, remember, farming or agriculture was devolved since we got in the 2010 constitution, the devolution. Agriculture was devolved. And if the 80% of our people are farmers, we lack, or there's not that leadership that I have offered them, maybe something on training about agriculture. And that's why, because Communist Party of Kenya defends or works with
the farmers,
or the farmers,
yes,
and farming is devolved. Now I'm coming in so that we can work together with the CPK to help our people or train them more on agriculture.
Thank you very much for being so elaborate on that. And I mean, what training opportunities or activities do you have lined up? Because when we look at your manifesto, I think, which you will debunk much later on, agriculture is, first on the list of things that you want to do. And you've spoken about 80% of the population in East Game being farmers. Also in the manifesto of the aspirant from the Communist Party of Kenya, who is also a vice chairperson, Bukangesa Omole, the first thing that he also wants to deal with in this area of East Game is agriculture, meaning that agriculture is at the heart of the people of Gem. So what are these plans or activities or trainings that you have planned for the people of East Gem specifically? And what are these crops, that are yielding very much in this area?
Okay, thank you. Just the way you've said, I want to tackle that agriculture because the East Game agriculture, the farming is favorable because of the agricultural land that we have, and also the climate or the weather of the world favors agriculture. So my leadership will enhance or will do intensive crop production and promote zero grazing, because most of our people, we have those keep livestock like cows, poultry and goats. And again, in East Game, we have also permanent water sources, about 4 streams that are permanent. In this agriculture, we can organize through different partners and also with the Communist Party of Kenya as a whole, so that these permanent water sources are used for irrigation to produce vegetables, e.g. the tomatoes and
which are doing very well. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. And, speaking about water, which also is very important in the issue of agriculture, we see that the people in the area rely so much on rainfall, as much as they have very arable land, which, can be used even when there is no rainfall. How do you plan to sort this issue such that agriculture goes hand in hand with water? How will they be able to have water throughout the year such that they can practice this agriculture with or without, rainfall, scientifically, as, we speak about
That's why I've mentioned the 4 permanent water sources, the streams. And what our people lack, and that's why they still depend on the rainfall, is proper training.
Yes.
They don't know, if they are trained on the irrigation system, then they will just pick it up. So that's what I look for, partners or technical officers to handle the irrigation. We use the water sources for irrigation purposes, and so that we not depend on the rainfall alone.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just because they've not been trained or educated, or there are some things needs to be highlighted for them.
Yes.
So that also I'll organize for some exchange visits for exposure of some leaders of the community.
Yes.
For exposure.
Yes.
So that when they come back now, they can do it.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And also, dwelling still on the issue of water, you've spoken about the 4 permanent streams of water. But in East Game, there's a very big issue of water in most of the homes, such that people are not able to access fresh and clean water. How are you planning to tackle that? And I'll give an example of, the Sagam Mixed Secondary School, where inside the school they have about 600 students, but they have no source of water. So they have to send a bus with jerry cans to fetch water from a stream and bring it back to the students to be able to use. Whereas in that area, there's a lot of water that is underground that, can be harnessed for a place such as the school or even the Sagam Community Hospital, which are part of East Game. What are your plans in terms of, water sources getting to the homes of the people? Because the streams are there and they're permanent, but how do they get to the people when they are clean and when they are sanitized and people are able to use them for their daily use?
Okay, thank you for that, Sefu. Just the way you are saying, I've mentioned to you that we only lack good leadership.
Yes.
Because, you've mentioned the schools, where my leadership will organize how we can drill some boreholes, and the schools or families that just short distance to the water sources.
Yes.
If we can use the solar even to pump the water to different centers around, so that to reduce the distance walking to the river. So I'll try to make sure that at least there's piped water near homes, not in every home,
Yes,
but at least
accessible in an area that is accessible to them.
But where the distance long, I'll organize for how we can drill some boreholes. Yes.
Thank you very much for that. And, you know, when you look at the manifesto of the Communist Party of Kenya, it speaks about political and social reforms in the area. And of course, when we speak about social reforms, we have, you know, social areas where a lot of people gather. And for the people of East Game, there are a lot of churches where people go to either to worship or to fellowship, or they meet every once a week, or, you know, as much as they can. But also we see these churches are used as social places, for example, social halls when people have funerals, etc., to be able to meet there. But the churches can also play a role, because we've seen even in the rural areas, the issue of depression, you know, is coming up very highly for the people of the village. And many other social issues like teenage pregnancies, because maybe parents are not able to speak to their children about such issues, and they end up, you know, picking up a couple of things from the environment. What would be your take, or how would you plan to work with such social organizations as the church, which is, you know, very strong in this area of East Game?
Thank you. You know, in East Game, or in our area, you find that we've not, or the current leadership have not realized the importance of the churches. We've just taken the just let's pray for a place for we go for the spiritual nourishment. But now my leadership, I intend to work with different or various churches, so that we can establish and they can offer for us different activities, like even family planning, educations, counseling,
Yes.
just the way you've mentioned.
Yes.
Some people, you find that some people can commit suicide,
Yes.
just because they lack cancer, there's no cancer.
Yes, yes.
And also this, so we can use our churches not only for the spiritual nourishment,
but for social reforms.
For social reforms.
Thank you. And even when you speak about social reforms, I've seen, you know, having been in this area for a bit of time, the issue of alcoholism is very rampant, especially amongst the young men, the population, the demographic of young men, and generally just men in the area. Do you think that, you know, the church as a social organization now, and not just spiritual nourishment, can be used as a place of rehabilitation for such an issue in the area? Just give us your take on that.
Exactly. The church can be used for, as a center, we can establish a rehabilitation center within the church.
Yes.
And also the church also can also be used. There's something here also that we must know. We have even elderlies in our villages.
Yes.
Some people, let me use this word, that neglected but not so. You find that he's maybe an elderly, he's a mzee. Maybe he lost his people. He remained alone. So you find that it's so difficult even for the neighbor. Sometimes he's just there. So we can even use for the churches to create homes for these elderly. And also the district children that may be also available within the ward. So the only problem that has been is that we've not realized that churches can play this role. And that's what I'm coming up with. Because in my manifesto, I've also have churches that and a plan how I'll work with them to ensure that these things, they help us solving these problems. Yes.
And there's a song I've learned as I've been here. I don't know, maybe you can help me. Come on, no matter what, Jogi. I want you to respond. Come on, no matter what, Jogi. You say Jogi. Come on, no matter what, Jogi.
Jogi.
Come on, no matter what, Jogi.
Jogi.
Come on, no matter what, Jogi.
Jogi.
Come on, no matter what, Jogi.
Jogi.
And you know, the reason why I'm referring to this song is that each of the places that we have gone, you know, to campaign or to pass our message to the people, we are received with a lot of song and pomp. And, whenever you sing, the people, really come alive and they listen to you. And that means that, the cultural ties in this area, are really great, and the music is something that is used as a means of passing information. Even when you look at the music in terms of Ohangla, which originates from this area, and the Owalo skirts that are used in traditional music, is there any plans that you have towards this rich culture to preserve it for the people? And what are your plans towards preserving this cultural heritage that we have here in East Game?
Thank you. Just to mention for you, this is the only ward that currently we don't have even a social hall.
Yeah.
For in the entire Siaya County. I told you, being a journalist, I've gone.
You've traveled.
This is the ward. We don't have even a stadium.
Yeah.
And even a social hall where those things. So my leadership, I intend to work with the community, and then we identify a place that we can have even a social hall or a stadium where annual cultural events or festive events can be held, because they bring, those events brings people together. We get to learn some things about it. You find that nowadays we even at a certain age of the youth, we forget even some of our cultures.
Yes.
Because it has not been taken into practice for long. We don't have even a place where we can gather. So that you find that some leaders, annually, they will just conduct the normal sporting activities, football, and they call it a day, you see. But sports, we also have some funds from the county government for sports. If it is organized, it can be well organized and put together with the cultural events and held annually, so that it reminds us of our cultures, and it brings people together.
Speaking of sports, we recently saw the sports team from this area, which is the area of Mindina in East Game, and I think it's called Mindina FC. We were working closely with their captain, and we even went to meet the sports team in this area, and they seem to be doing very well and to participate in certain tournaments in this area, although they need a lot of support for them to be able to come up, and for them as young people also to be able to use this as an economic venture. What would be your take on sports, and especially sports and young people, and it being also a means of recreation, but also a means of economic empowerment for the young people in this area?
Thank you. I normally tell youths or any other people that let's not look sports just for sports.
Yeah.
Sporting activity can be job itself. It also can be so I normally tell them that if you have a talent, please, we need to nurture that talent from our youths.
Yeah.
So we've neglected it for long, the current leadership. So I'm coming up so that we can also nurture these talents, and we don't do it just for example, you are mentioning Mindine.
Yes.
After playing, it ends there.
Yes.
My leadership, I'll try to bring on board other clubs like Gor Mahia. Remember East Game, the chairman of the Gor Mahia comes from East Game.
Ambrose Rachier.
Yes, it's from
East Game.
So when we organize these sporting activities, we can call the board of Gor Mahia. They come also.
And even source talent from here to play for the national.
From different clubs.
Yes.
At least we will help them. Instead of we just play it or hold the sport just for the sake.
Yes.
Then it remains at the village level.
Yes. Thank you very much for devolving that issue of sports. And we've seen recently on the 24th of December that there was an event in Kisumu, which was, a festival, and the roads were closed down, and it was able to bring the people of Kisumu together, and even for them to see their development in the new year. Do you have any plans to hold such festivals in East Game? And what are those plans? We've seen a lot of paragons in this area, like, Wasonga Sijeyo, who did very well in coming up with, festival events for the people, but also in just preserving the dignity and the unity of the people of East Game.
Okay, just the way I told you that I'm planning to have the first thing to create a social center for our people.
Yes.
Yeah. If we create a social center, all these events can be held from that place.
From that area.
And being organized by the community.
Yes. Thank you very much. Also, traversing the area, we are able to see that this is a very patriarchal society, but that is in most of the societies that we come from that are African. And being a patriarchal society, then we see that the place of women in the society is seen only in the kitchen or in participating in roles such as, giving birth. And women do not have equal economic opportunities in this area, or even leadership opportunities. It is, for example, very frowned upon for a lady who is married in East Game to vie for a political seat. So that means that the opportunities that are given to women, and because of patriarchy, then there's a bit of an imbalance. How do you plan to work with the women in this area to be able to uplift them or to give them equal opportunities for them to rise up as well?
Thank you. Just the way you've said, women play a very important role in the community in terms of development.
Yes.
So my leadership will press for an equal opportunity in terms of education and in terms of even administrative roles.
Yes.
So that we don't neglect them the way it has been. So I'll work hand in hand with women because they play important role. Even if you can go to a farm in the world, you will find that many people that goes to farm are women.
Women, yes.
If you go to church, many members of the church are women.
Yeah.
Even if there's a parent meeting in a school, you will find that number of men are higher than of women higher than that of men. So they play a very important role. It's just by mistake that our leadership or the leaders that have been there have neglected them. But my leadership will press for equal opportunities for all.
For the women. When you speak about the farming and the fact that women are the people who go to the farms, the question now begs is why they are not the people who get, the economic benefits that come from the farming. But that is something we can discuss at a whole other level. And speaking of women are a special interest groups together with persons living with disabilities who are not spoken about a lot and who are people that we live with in our society. What are your plans towards the persons living with disabilities in the area of East Game?
Thank you. I'm also planning to work with people living with disabilities. If you go to, just to mention like other wards, for example, our neighbor ward of West Game, we have a center that was built by World Bank through partnership with formal leadership. So my leadership will also try and make sure that we have a center for people living with disabilities, because you will find that these people, they can help us in other things, even doing some maths, you see. So I'll try to have a workshop for them, and I'll work hand in hand with them. They will also help us in doing some activities or producing some products for the ward.
Apart from produce, do you plan to involve the persons living with disabilities in administrative roles, as you've said, or even, to equip them, like having a braille, especially, being introduced into the administration system such that you can work with blind people, or even sign language being introduced as one of the languages that people should learn so that we are all able to communicate?
Thank you. I'll praise for equal opportunity for all, of which if there's that opportunity where there's that employment opportunity, I'll make sure that even in a committee, in a committee, there's that person living with disability, there's a woman, and there's a youth, there's an elderly, so that it becomes all round. So I'll make sure that in every sector of economic development, if it's even a committee, there's a person living with disability to represent the interest of those people.
Okay. Yeah. And recently we visited your home for a small event where we had, members of your clan coming together to support your bid. And of course, we see that family ties in this area are very important, such that, maybe without the support of your clan, it would be difficult for you to come in the community to vie as leader. Tell us about family disputes that are, in this area, and for those people maybe who may not have had, the support that you had, which was immense from, your clans folk who are giving you, the support to go through your bid. But there are a lot of people in the area who have family disputes, and a lot of these disputes lead to, death. And most of the disputes are because of land and inheritance. How do you plan to deal with such issues that are so deep-seated in the culture of this area?
Thank you. First, to start with, I met my clan. The reason why I was doing that, I didn't want them to just hear it from outside.
Yes.
So the first thing was to call them and tell them that I'm planning to do this, or I'm planning to vie as an MC, so that in case somebody, maybe it can be my uncle or my or my water.
You can have some water as we proceed, right?
So in case of an issue, so that they don't say that, oh, we only heard about it from other people.
Yes.
The son of so and so is vying. So before they say those things, I had to call them together. And
Our apologies.
I had to call them together. We discuss with them before now I move outside. I go outside to tell the masses that now I'm in the video. So they are key. Family members are key, or the clan. They are the key, the first people to endorse you.
Yes.
Yeah. We got the blessings, gwet.
Yes.
From elderly also.
Yeah.
So that you see that. So it's also give you time, also an opportunity to weigh out. That, do they really love me, or do they really like me? Or it's just by word of mouth. So when you call them together, if they will open their minds, they will tell you, okay, what you need to do, you must do this and that, or even in this our clan, and so also tried, or so and so there's no one has tried this, so you will get to know all those. So the family is very important of the clan. Another problem that is there, these issues
The
that we have, disputes in the family. You find that in some areas we have large families, and extended, somebody maybe the polygamy, something of the sort. And this is something that has been bringing those issues, the family disputes. And now, if to say, I'm sorry to say this, you will find that maybe somebody, if he is blessed, he feels some people are different. Then he feels that now I must be everything. You get it? I must be everything in this. So you don't want to recognize, even if he's a young person, you don't want to recognize elderly. You say, oh, after all, they will come for me for help. So it should not be that. Yeah, it should not be that way. So through that, the disputes will be there.
Yes.
Yeah.
But specifically, Jafambo, I'm talking about the disputes of land and inheritance, which are very big issues, when we see land as a means of production,
Exactly.
So maybe these fights for land, it's a war about who has the economic interest or who has the economic power in the family, and of course, putting other people out of the means of production, and, in this case, becoming a small imperialist in your own family.
Thank you. The family dispute most on land issues.
Yes.
These things can only be solved with the family members. It is the family members or the parties that must now realize that we are one family. So they can just call for just a mediator or somebody, but the main solution is from them.
Do you plan to have such conflict resolution measures where you have mediators and people who are able to come and intervene and solve such disputes before they get, to the courts of law, or before they become, such huge issues where people have to use resources and antagonize people in the area?
That's why I was saying that I intend to work with various churches.
Yeah.
then through these pastors or whatever, we can have, for example, even so how can I put it, even
arbitration.
just a arbitration center or a committee that will handle in case before it goes to chief, to the level of the chief, at least some pastors around that can sit down with them. We have a way of solving it before it goes on.
That's, I think, would be a very good social reform if, you know, it gets to implementation. Another issue I think that we have in the ward of East Game, you know, is the issue of calamities or natural disasters such as, you know, floods or the minefields that are in this area collapsing on the people. And for the schools, we've seen that whenever there are such harsh weathers, for example, floods, children are not able to go to school for a very long, you know, period of time. And of course, they lose out on education and many other, you know, issues such as stormy weather. Do you have any plans, you know, to mitigate such natural calamities? Do you have any disaster management plans for the people of East Game?
Thank you. In my manifesto, I have disaster management committee that I'll create. In that committee, we will, working with the community, we will also create some funds so that this disaster that or the calamities that normally takes, for example, in East Game, we have some minings that claim lives of our people. We have stormy weather that blow out schools, roofs. So you find that sometimes it happens in a situation where maybe even if you are a leader, if you didn't create that, then you don't have funds or emergency funds immediately. So my leadership will create a disaster management committee,
yes,
of which we will have some funds, so that when these things happens, the committee will evaluate the amount or what the amount of the damage, and then from the kitty we will have something small to support.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think those are very good plans for the people of East Game, which are extremely thought out. And also, when we talk about natural disasters, of course, we cannot miss to speak about the environment in Game and in East Game specifically. And of course, walking around and even this area where we are having our interview is extremely green and well preserved. Although in some of the areas when you walk around, we can see that, you know, there's, for example, a scarcity of trees, or some of the areas look a bit arid. Do you have any plans for the preservation of the environment? And of course, when we talk about preservation of the environment, I remember Uhuru Park also in Nairobi, which is under siege, and which the Communist Party of Kenya, through the Secretary General, Benedict Washira, and other lawyers in the party have worked very hard in petitioning, you know, for the halt of the constructions that are happening there and the damage to the environment. So what plans do you have, you know, for East Game to preserve its environment and also its natural resources?
Thank you. Preservation of our environment is absolutely critical for the survival of basic life.
Yes.
From plants, even water and soil.
Yes.
So my leadership, I'll make sure that through working with the community, at least 10% of the ward is preserved for indigenous trees, so that we preserve our environment. That's the plan I have. Yeah.
Wow, and I think that's a very good plan for, you know, the preservation of the environment. And also we've spoken earlier on about a gold mine that is in the area of East Game. And, you know, I was a bit taken aback that there's gold in this area once we found that out. What is your plan for natural resources and minerals such as, you know, the gold that is in this area? And do you have any plans to have maybe a geological survey to see whether such resources can be found in different parts of East Game, and how they can be used also to uplift the livelihoods of the people in the area?
Thank you. We have natural resources like gold, as you mentioned, but my leadership will try to make or have a policy to guide the way they are being exploited or they are being used, so that they can help
the people.
Our people economically. Not just that because I've seen land of so and so has gold, let's go and mine it. If we have a policy and proper techniques, mining techniques, so that we also prevent the loss of lives that might happen when they exploit it. So my leadership will put a policy and guidelines so that if it's found, for example, East Game we have about 4 sub-locations, Ramula, Uranga, Lianda, and Marenyo. So that if it happens that it's somewhere like in Ramula, at least the people, the residents of Ramula, can see an impact that we have a natural resources. It can be exploited and economically can help and improve the living standards of our people. Not that it's just left there. That's somebody. So that I will also try to put away brokers that there are many brokers that have made our people not to benefit much from these natural resources.
Well, speaking about brokers, we've seen in earlier years and in earlier times that these brokers are usually people from the government, and especially from the county government, and especially from these, devolved functions who come and exploit the people and especially their resources. What are your plans to mitigate such things from happening, be it from, your county government, from the larger county government, the larger game?
Thank you. In my leadership, I'll try to create committees for different sectors. So that in each sector, I know that we have a committee of this number of people that will be responsible or will be handling that sector. Through that, I'll make sure that I'll manage these brokers. Once I've created a committee, so we will know that if even someone from the county government or national government, there's where he can, if he wants to enter into an area, he must go through the committee. They discuss with the committee before he goes just directly to those people.
And speaking of that, that brings me to another issue of corruption, which has been very rampant in Siaya, and we've seen earlier on through a couple of activities from the Communist Party of Kenya that a lot of money, totaling to around 600 million, has been embezzled in Siaya County, but also here in Gem constituency. We've seen corruption when we spoke about, the school the school that was built by our vice chairperson, and the corruption case that ensued thereafter in Siaya. And when we look at the county assembly, we see it as an oversight of the county or of the county government and the leadership of the county. What are your plans in, corruption in the area of Siaya as a whole, and also in East Gem, as with your oversight role that you will achieve through the member of county assembly?
Thank you. In terms of the issue of corruption, it just depends on the kind of the leader that you have. So my leadership will try and to at least manage, and I'll not encourage any form of corruption. And even at the assembly, I will aggressively initiate a debate, positive debates in the county assembly, that on matters that will improve, even in terms of political and economic activities of the ward and the entire county.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you very much. Also, speaking about corruption, we see the politics in this area and in most areas of the country depend a lot on voter bribery, which is something which is called Gonya politics in this area. And the issue of Gonya is very rampant, that I think in most of the places that we've gone to, the people, of course, expect that you will leave them with something little, starting from 50 shillings and going up. And this is the way in which, voting has happened in the previous years. How do you plan to mitigate this, or how do you plan to go about your campaign, such that there is no use of the Gonya politics, but the people are still able to vote you in?
Thank you. I can say the Gonya thing has come up because of the kind of the life standards of our people. And it has brought with the leaders, those have not performed. So they believe that even if I've not performed, I'll just dish out some money, then I'll be voted back. And that's why I joined CPK, so that we can fight this thing together.
Yes.
And we bring change, so that we don't believe in the Gonya. We talk to our people. You know, it's also, when you do the kind of politics, that political rally of the road show or whatever, it encourages much Gonya. But when you visit, for example, churches or groups, you talk to them in maybe in a certain house, you try to educate them, you tell them, the best thing we will do is 1, 2, 3. If you have a good policy, the Gonya issue will not be there. But those who lack manifesto and what they plan to do with the people, they are the people encouraging Gonya. Because there's nothing they can tell people. But let me tell you that our people, if you go to them and you tell them that, I'll do for you this, and you present for them your manifesto, at least there will be no Gonya. But if you don't have manifesto, then obvious they will ask. They will say, they will tell you, oh, just finish with us. Because there's nothing you are presenting to them. But if you have manifesto, at least they will listen to you. So, and again, I'll also try that when I get this seat, the main thing is to empower our community. If they are empowered, and an empowered community, there will be nothing like Gonya. Because first they will have food, they are empowered. So why Gonya? Because he will say that instead of that 50 bob, he is doing something that gives him even 500 shillings. So there will be no Gonya. So the first important thing is to empower our community.
And speaking about empowerment of community and Gonya politics, the issue of youth unemployment or just unemployment as a whole in the region comes out because a lot of young people do not have, means of economic empowerment. So for them, it is very easy to ask for, give me something now because they do not have anything. What is your plan towards the young people and especially in regards to the issue of employment for them to be able, to get sustainable means of livelihoods in this area, and also to do away with the issue of alcoholism?
The youths, if the youths are kept busy, if you keep them busy, there's none. When they are idle, that's when you will get this alcoholism or whatever. I'm planning to work with youth groups. I'll have them, arrange them into groups from their different backgrounds or areas. And then we identify certain activity that they can do and that will bring for them an income. You can have even a youth group and through them, you can have an activity, even if it's farming, they will produce certain crop. Even if they can have even poultry farming, for example, as a group. Then a group somewhere, through the funds from the county government or through partnerships, you can also help them with these machines like block making machines. So they become busy. Like now, this even sector, the motorcycle sector,
yes,
the motorbike, it has employed many people. And through that, if there's a way you can have even a stage for them, you tell them that those who are in this sector, I want us to have even a cooperative where you as a person, you can even just save your 20 bob, their own. So then you can also do your, from this you can also have your soft loans from your own cooperative. You group them into the cooperative. So you look for youth in different sectors. So you deal with them as per the sector they fall into.
And that's fine for those who are in the sector, but my biggest question is those who are not in any sector, because we have seen a lot of them even in this area, youth who are unemployed. What plans do you have for them? What can you offer them as an MCA?
Just to answer you, we have that, that youth believe, there's this belief that I must get employed in an office.
White collar.
White collar. That's when I believe that I'm employed. That's not employment. It's not that all that is the employment. you can also become self-employed. So we just talk to them that we should not have it in our mind that I must get employed by so and so. So I can also become my self-employed even in my farm. You get it? Yeah.
So you plan on, training them to be able to start their own businesses or their own ways of earning a livelihood.
Through that, for example, in East Game we have this the one vocational called the Mindini Vocational Training Center. I'll also encourage them in our community to at least take their children to the vocational training so that they get trained on these, they become artisans, they become carpenters, they become fundis around, so that at least many people, we have many people, we have fundis that now we only source them from outside. But just because nobody has talked to our people or to our youth that you can go for this short-term course at the vocational, no matter what class, even if you are a class 3 or class 5, you can go to a vocational training center and you get trained. My leadership will partner with such, and for example, we have NITA around that offers hand training. There's not that theory, the practical part of it.
Yes.
Practical part of it. So that those who have no jobs can be there. Even in the terms of motorcycle, when this person has a motorbike, this motorbike will need to be repaired. Who will repair it? At least we take some youth group, we take them for training at NITA. They get trained on how to repair the motorcycles around, to mend the bunches around, so that at least we know that this person has a motorbike, so he will get an income through riding this motorbike, but the other youth will get something when this motorbike needs to be repaired.
Yes. I think that is elaborate, and also you've spoken about promotion of human resources in the area, but I think I'd like you to just go deeper on what plans you have for the professionals and entrepreneurs in this area, and also, for the discouragement of outsourcing the available local human resource, where you get people maybe from towns like Kisumu, but you don't use the professionals that are in this area. What is your plan on promoting the human resource in this area?
In terms of promotion of human resource, I'll make sure that there's no outsourcing of these services.
Yes.
If we have the people who are skilled and can offer those services. That's the only way to promote them. It is so unfortunate that you will find that even in a school, for example, a classroom needs to be constructed. You carry fundi all the way even from Western, you see, to come and do it.
Yes.
Yet you have this person around. What is there, we must have it, and we must have to tell our people that if so-and-so or the son of so-and-so is a fundi, let's give him an opportunity. You will find that some people will say, oh, so-and-so cannot do it. But he has not given him an opportunity to do it. So how will you judge that he cannot? The first thing, give him that opportunity to do it. Through that, I'll also promote, for example, I'll make sure that if there's something to be done around, we have for example, hardwares around. Why go and buy these materials even from outside, from different wards or from different counties? We need also to promote these our people. I'll try and make sure that all the resources that we have around must be first exploited. We only outsource when we lack, but when there is, we should not say that so and so cannot do it. Yet we've not given him that opportunity.
I have 3 more questions for you. I hope our viewers that you're watching and listening keenly to Jafwambo as he tells us about his plans for East Game. And the question I want to ask you now is on the issue of health, which you haven't tackled for the people of East Game, where I think when we look around the area, there's only a community hospital that is in Sagam, but also the hospital is not well equipped when it comes to drugs, when it comes to workers. And there have been issues even with the remuneration for the workers who, as it stands now, have not been paid for the last 4 months, even as we've celebrated Christmas, we've come into the new year. What is your take on health in this area? But more than that, on the issue of the workers not getting their payments, how will they be able to work in such a hospital?
Thank you for that. Health is a devolved function. And for your information, my priority first will be on health and agriculture. I normally tell them when now I'm campaigning that it will be so unfortunate if I tell you that I'll tarmac for you road and you lack something that you are eating in the house. I'll not be helping you. Or if I'll tell you that I'll make sure that every home has an electricity, yet if you go to the hospital, you don't have even that painkiller, for example, Panadol. So the first thing, I'll make sure that all our health facilities around are well equipped and functional, whereby even if I'm a leader, I can go to a health center within the ward and get treated. So I'll make sure I'll give health priority and make sure that they are what. And for your information, this is the only ward. What even brought me on board that to vie as MC. This is the only ward with the devolved unit as health. This is the only ward that for the last, now we are on the 9th year of devolution, we don't have even a foundation for health center. This is the only ward. Out of 30 wards in Siaya County, I told you I'm a journalist.
Yes.
And I've gone round.
You've gone through it, yes.
And remember, even World Health Organization is telling us that somebody should not walk more than 3 or 5 kilometers looking for health.
Yes.
But in this ward, health has been left behind, health sector. I'll make sure that at least within the 4 sub-locations, at least there is health center whereby if somebody is sick, he can just walk into. And that health center must be functional, well equipped with the
drugs and necessary equipment.
And also, this bit, in this ward, we had an NGO before called Millennium Villages Project. It built some health centers around. It came up with the community health volunteers or health workers. Services of these people have been neglected. These people played a role, and they knew that in every they even used to help even our mothers around, expectant mothers around, and they usually help. So I'll make sure that I'll work together. I'll again reinstate those people to make sure that they are in every village. Yes. In Instagram we have 74 villages, for example. I'll make sure that every village there's that community health volunteer that will help us to drive the health issue. Yes.
Thank you very much. And what would be the role of the traditional medical experts, if I may call them that? For example, the women who've practiced, midwifery for a long period of time, and they're able to deliver. And such people, will they have a place in your health plan for the people of East Game?
Thank you. They will have a place. Those are the so-called traditional midwives or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, they will have a place, and that's why I'm saying with working with the community health volunteers will also help us identify such people on the ground, and we will bring them on board to work together with them.
And your nomination process in the party was quite rigorous because East Game was a very contentious ward. Maybe tell us a bit about that and how you emerged to be the MCA of the area.
I think first it depends on my manifesto. I think so. You see, when you faced a panel or a board or something of the sort, you must be sure that what am I going to offer to these people. So I think that's the key. What do I have that other people have? For example, even right now, what will make people vote for me or for someone, for me and leave some people, is what does it have for us?
Yes.
That's the key. Yeah, that's the key.
Yes.
Yes.
So your manifesto had a lot of clarity.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And my final question would be about, the politics of this area where we have, certain political parties who have a reign or a stronghold for the people. And of course, we know about them. I will not go into the details of mentioning them. But what is your plan in terms of working towards the people to be able to see your candidature or to debunk, the politics of families or the politics of strongholds or the politics of brand in this area of Siaya and especially East Game?
Thank you. When I campaign, I tell my people that let's not vote for a political party.
Yes.
Vote for a leader or an individual. These people are there. Before you look for that political party, what you have to, that you want a leader who will perform. So what you are going to vote for a person, not party. Because this is the person who will do for you whatever your needs. So that's what I normally tell them. And I can see they are getting into that. And you will say that, you will see around, people will say, now there's no need of political party. Political parties are just, for example, if you are here in East Game and you want to go to Nairobi, we have different buses like Easy Coach, we have Guardian. So these political parties are those like...
We have Periska.
Yeah, we have those vehicles. But now if you board a Guardian, somebody also will board an Easy Coach. The speed may vary.
Yes.
So we normally tell them that political parties are like those vehicles.
And some of them may not even leave at all.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, your destination, you know your destination, all of you. So I tell them that political parties are like that. Or political parties, for example, I was being asked, why did you choose CPK? When I was somewhere, we were somewhere in a church function, and my competitor, one of my competitors from another party, he told me, oh, this is the only party around.
Yes.
You could use this. Why did you choose to? Then I told them, for example, like here we are in ACK, the Anglican Church of Kenya.
Yes.
We have the CCA. We have the Seventh-day Adventist. All of them use Bible. And this Bible, we have Matthew. So you will find that a certain church will read a verse in Matthew. And then the same verse is being read also in the ACK.
Yes.
CCA also read the same verse. But the interpretation is different. So the interpretation, so I told them that the way ACK interprets the verse is different with the way pastor from CCA already interpret that. So it is upon you, if you want to get that spiritual nourishment, it's upon you that you will identify that the way this pastor from this side interpret it, no, let me
it's
go
not,
to this
yes.
Yeah, that is it all. But what I'm trying to tell them that is, let's not look for political parties.
Yes.
They are just like the vehicles we bought. But the thing is, look for an individual. Vote for an individual. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Jafwambo. And just to finish it off, of course, the aspirant of the Member of Parliament for the area of Game comes from your area in East Game, and he's also the Vice Chairperson of the Communist Party of Kenya. And your manifestos seem to be, very much aligned, maybe because the issues of your people, are one and the same. How do you plan to work together with the incoming Member of Parliament in harnessing the issues of the people of Game and East Game specifically?
Thank you. I can say that it's advantageous to me because having an MP from the same ward, meaning that East Game will be elevated, we will be somewhere because we will work together. And just to tell you, I'll make sure that my MP, the Vice Chairman of CPK, I'll make sure that within the ward, if for him to be there, I'll make sure that East Game ward produce the much votes, if not 100% and 99%, for him to get to that seat. Because we are from the same locality, we know the problems that our people face.
Yes.
I'll work together with him, and before that, I'll make sure that every vote I get, he also gets that vote. So that even if in case there are challenges from other wards, I'll make sure that people from East Game will make sure that he wins that seat.
Thank you. Thank you very much for such a close finish, Jeff Wambo, who is our journalist. When I say CPK, you know, CPK.
Viva.
CPK.
Viva.
CPK.
Viva.
Thank you very much for availing yourself for this interview. It was a pleasure having you. It was a pleasure talking to you and hearing about your manifesto for the people of East Game. And thank you very much to our viewers for tuning in on this new year where you're catching us live from the ward of East Game, Game constituency and Siaya County. This is CPK TV, the voice of the people. I'm your host, Sefusani, and from me, it's goodbye.